Hi, hello, this is Jules the Human here, and welcome to the Jules and Matt Anime Hour. I'm one of your hosts, Jules the Human, and here every week we're going to be talking a couple of episodes. We're going to be discussing a couple of episodes of anime. It could be your favorite anime or your next favorite anime, and we're going to discuss, dissect, and just talk all things anime and maybe manga even here too. And this week, the first week, we're going to be discussing the very first 4 episodes of Black Clover. Black Clover, episode 1, 2, 3, and 4, season 1. We're going to be talking about that today and kind of going through it, but I will not be going on this anime journey alone. I will be here with my friend and fellow creator and anime enthusiast, Matt Galley. Matt, it's our first episode.
First episode indeed, and oh boy, we got a lot to talk about for this.
We
one.
do. I'm excited. First off, for everybody that's joining us, thank you so much for being here. We are live on Twitch, and we would love for you to watch the anime along with us because it's a lot of fun discussing it with you. It's a lot more fun if we're all watching it together, talking about it and stuff like that. So come by and discuss it. We already see people here live in the chat right now. We're live on Twitch, twitch.tv/Jules the Human, twitch.tv/JULES the Human. And if you're watching it later on or listening to it on a podcast app anywhere else, that's where you can watch live on Thursdays. You can get it a day early, watch it live, come discuss with us. And if you want to suggest an anime that we do next, 500 bits, exclamation point podcast in the chat, exclamation point podcast in chat right now. But 500 bits can get your anime suggestion put into the Matt's little treasure chest for possibly next time. We're going to go through the entire first 2 arcs of Black Clover. And since this is the first episode, Matt, I kind of want to talk and ask you about your relationship with anime. When do you remember? I'm gonna try and think for me. Do you remember the first time that you watched an anime, or like, I don't know, just give me whatever you want. Like, what's your favorite? What do you like? What are you into?
I cannot put my finger on the first time my eyes definitely met with, like, you know, animation. I feel like it's kind of been something with me forever, as long as I can remember. From things like, you know, Studio Ghibli movies growing up. I remember just being on like Cartoon Network and the channel block changing over into Toonami, not feeling like I wanted to change the channel, so let's just watch whatever's on. Watching all of these episodic animes of whatever number it may have been on.
Yeah.
And just kind of like allowing the show to happen in front of me. I remember watching Naruto for the first time it ever aired in Western media in English. I remember watching that live, and the first time I ever watched a anime like from start to completion. And I guess this gets into the conversation of what you define as anime, but it would probably be Avatar: The Last Airbender. I remember watching the premiere of that on Nickelodeon, and every new episode that came out until they defeated the Fire Lord, until the thing was done. I was there for the new episodes.
Oh man. Yeah, that
sorry to spoil that for anyone.
That definitely gets into the conversation, and I'm pretty sure we're gonna have that a couple times on this podcast, where it's like anime is literally just animation, but like it could mean like made in Japan. Like a lot of people have that distinction where it's not anime if it's not made in Japan or something like that. But I mean, I'm down to just say any animation. I'm down to just go into just any animation stuff. But thank you everybody here live again, twitch.tv/Jules the Human if you want to watch live. But I can definitely recall which was my first like real anime and why I like this so much. It was Kill la Kill, and that's why I love it so much, because I didn't watch anime before college. I watched anime in college. That's when I started. So I'm not as, I mean, I know for sure, but the listeners may not know us, but Matt knows a lot more about anime and has watched way more than me. But Kill la Kill was my first one, and then I promptly just went into all the other stuff like Sword Art Online. I liked Sword Art Online at the beginning. What you call
Sword
it?
Art started really strong.
Full Alchemist, Full Metal Alchemist. Yeah, and then I went into some other stuff. We know I just recently got into manga, so I'm buying manga and stuff. So, yeah, that's sort of our thing, and we are gonna go through a bunch of different animes, hopefully, on this show, and I'm super excited. But I'm way excited to talk about Black Clover here, the first 4 episodes, and I hope people did their homework because I told everybody to watch the first 4 episodes of Black Clover before getting here. But that's okay if you didn't, because Matt is going to break it down for us here a little bit. So what happened, Matt, in the first 4 episodes of Black Clover?
Well, a lot definitely happens in the first 4 episodes. Starting with the first episode, we're kind of introduced to this fantasy-esque world where it the camera pans on these fields that farmers are working, except they're not using the tools traditionally. Everybody's using like little magical techniques in order to get the farms done, like telekinesis on the hoes to make sure that they're not like bending over, breaking their backs. Just casting like water to be fall from the sky to water all the crops at the same time. It really, I think, sets the tone in a good way, because as we come to learn, everything in this world is based on magic. Like magic is the primary like power system in this show, I guess you could say. And immediately from that, we are introduced to our main character, Asta, as he's kind of pestering one of the nuns that works at the church that he lives in, because he's an orphan. Him and his best friend of sorts, were both left on the doorstep of this church one day, and the father of the church took them in and has raised them since then. So we cut 15 years later. Asta's bugging one of the nuns of the church, Sister Lily, and everybody's kind of like, Asta, Sister Lily can't get married. She's a nun. She's a sister of the cloth. Yeah. And he just keeps repeating himself. I'm not done. I'm not going to give up. I'm not done. I'm not going to give up. And then introducing his friend, Yuno. Yuno is a lot more reserved than Asta. Immediately, he's not loud. He is not being obnoxious, and he completely calls Asta out on being such. Yuno appears, and him and all the other orphans begin to criticize Asta for other reasons, because as he challenges Yuno to a duel, Yuno refuses. Asta asks why, and all the other orphans reply, well, it's because you can't cast magic. You have magic of any kind, and you never have. And he attempts to cast a spell or whatever, and nothing happens in response. And he's like, well, you know what? None of you can do sit-ups like this. And he gets on the ground and he starts doing sit-ups really fast, and everybody's just looking at him like he's a clown. And he's kind of acting like that. Totally. The day is somewhat special, as everybody that's coming of age to the years of 14 are able to join this ceremony of sorts, where they are given their grimoire book, which the grimoire is the source of a mage's power in this universe. Everybody is at the ceremony. The whole town is there at the mage's tower, and everybody is waiting for their books to be granted to them. And a scene is made, because the one that is granted to Yuno is all gold and glowing, and it has a 4-leaf clover on it, which this 4-leaf clover is significant in representing luck. The first wizard king of this of this universe, the Wizard King, also had a 4-leaf clover grimoire. And everybody is kind of like astonished that Yuno is receiving this. Cut to Asta, who exclaims, "Where is mine?" And he's just sitting there holding his hands up while everybody else already got theirs, and they're just looking, and everybody starts to laugh at him. That then prompts him to try to save face and shout at Yuno, saying that, well, it doesn't matter that you got a 4-leaf clover grimoire and I didn't get one at all. I'm still gonna be the Wizard King before you become the Wizard King. And Yuno just kind of walks by him and says, that's impossible, not gonna happen. And Asta stands there for a second and doesn't take too fondly to those words for sure. It kind of puts him in a little bit of a slump, and we see him outside the ceremony chilling up in a tree right after that, and he just he, with his well, I'm not done yet attitude, he completely pulls himself out of that slump and gets back up and resolve that he's not going to lose to Yuno. He then notices that right outside of the ceremony, there's a little bit of a situation going on, but we cut away from him to see that Yuno is being confronted by 2 other people that were retrieving their grimoires, and they're kind of trying to muscle it off of him. They attempt to use their grimoires to cast magic at Yuno, and he, without even opening his book, he is able to nullify their magic with the use of his own. Yuno is then abruptly cut off because a magic user attacks him and wraps him up in chains, bounding him down. Asta comes to try to save Yuno from this would-be thief who is after Yuno's grimoire as well. And Asta just gets pummeled into the ground essentially because he has no magic of himself to cast.
That guy.
The thief starts to belittle Asta, and Yuno calls out saying that, his words don't mean anything because Asta is Yuno's rival. At that moment, a dark, bleak grimoire, dirty, filthy, begins to appear in front of Asta, and there it is. He draws a sword from the grimoire, and behind him, the visage of a ghastly shadow appears. And that is the end. Oh, no. And then he uses his sword to nullify, to completely disable the thief's magic, all of the chains that the other caster was using. And Asta, with one clean swoop, completely takes this guy out. Again, physically trained, he grips this sword and all of his muscles bulge, and he just wipes this guy out with the swing of his sword. And that is the end of the first episode.
So I'm curious. Okay, so you've seen this before. I'm coming at this from, this is my first time seeing it. I know nothing about this. I know nothing about Black Clover. I know Matt has definitely recommended this to me, and I gotta say, Matt is pretty good with his recs, for me at least, because everything that he recommends I end up enjoying, and I definitely should listen more. But especially for Blue Lock, Chainsaw Man, him and Smudge were like, yo, you gotta check this out, and all of it's really good, especially games as well. So Matt, good recs, and this is one that you've told me to watch before because it's kind of up my alley. Well, first off, I've never seen it. What was your relationship to this anime before? Did you finish it all the way? And now
when I started Black Clover, it was when the pandemic was just starting, and that was kind of my I need a new show to watch. I'm just gonna this one's got like close to 100 episodes. I'm just
Sure.
gonna start watching this. I want a new show to watch. So
Uh,
I had just finished, I think, Demon Slayer season 1, and Jujutsu Kaisen possibly. Hunter x
so it's
Hunter I
fairly
watched the
new.
previous year.
Like
It is fairly new.
that you just watched it.
Within the 2020, 2 years ago or so. It is not I didn't watch it when it originally started airing, and I think that was in 2017.
Gotcha. So I almost was like, pack it up. I'm done with the podcast with this one. And I've got to say, I've been complaining about it all week. If you know, I've been complaining about it all week. Within the first 5 minutes of Asta talking, I could not handle the Japanese voice actor. And it's not even that the character's bad. Like, the character's not bad. We've seen characters like this where they're children, they have to show the resolve, they have to get over stuff. I'm currently dealing with it in Hunter x Hunter with Gon, because Gon's a little kid and he has to show his resolve, and he does things without thinking. We see that a lot. Naruto, I'm sure, does that in the beginning. But Asta, it's not even the character that I don't like. I'm fine with the character. The voice actor, within the first like 2 minutes, I don't know if it was just like the way they were screaming. They're like, ah, like some
He's
kind of
got a
like
scream.
some kind of gravelly scream. And I was like, oh my God, I literally turned it off. I was like, oh my God, what? And I was about to pack it in, but then I switched it to English dub. I don't do dub a whole lot, but I switched it to dub and it was a lot easier. So if you are on the fence about trying this anime because of that same reason, and I looked in the comments, and a lot of the comments on Crunchyroll were the same, where they're like, oh my God, I can't handle Asta's voice actor for some reason, but it was a lot better in English. So if you're wondering, you can, if you're like, man, I really didn't like this, switch it to English. Maybe try that out. Maybe that helped. That helped me. I got through it, and I'm gonna keep going. So it's not that bad. But like you described in the beginning, let's kind of talk about Asta and Yuno a little bit. Yes, Bubsy, English dub over Japanese dub for this one. Just for this one. For me, anyways. That's my opinion.
If within the first 5 minutes you're thinking that you can't stand Asta, then yes, it's definitely worth trying. Yeah.
I don't know why.
He very early on, yeah, he's got some stuff to work through for sure. he's without magic, and he does his thing.
So describes Asta as loud, short, obnoxious, and immature.
Those are the first words that he says in the series.
Yeah, those are the first things he says. He describes Asta. He was like, loud, short, obnoxious, immature. I was like, whoa, okay, this is good character development already. I can kind of tell this stuff. But he's the only one that has magic at such an old age, or he doesn't have magic at such an old age, but he really cares about others, and he wants to be the Wizard King. I honestly think, before I get into like my thoughts about them two together, I think this is a good anime to start with. I didn't think this was a good anime. Like, I didn't know what to think, actually. And as I was watching it, I was like, if this is your first anime that you're watching and you're watching with us, I'm like, yo, this is like a perfect anime to start off with, because it's very simple. The characters' decisions are really simple to follow. I want to be the Wizard King. Well, I want to be the Wizard King as well. Well, I don't have magic, but now I have magic, kind of. And it's like super simple to follow. And if this is your first anime, I'm so happy that you're joining us for this, because it's super simple. If you've never tried anime before, and if you have problems with like trying to follow complex storylines, like, this is super simple. But Asta and I was really interested in this because right off the bat, I can't tell. I don't know if I've seen another anime like this. I wanted them to be like brotherly Full Metal Alchemist style.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's kind of what I thought was going to happen. But then they're like, I'm your rival, and they're a little less lovey-dovey. than I thought they were gonna. Is there like another anime that's like that where we have the two main protagonists? I thought they were gonna be brothers, but now they're kind of like competing against each other,
Hmm.
and it's not as like wholesome as other things. Like, how would you describe their relationship?
Well, that as a rivalry is exactly how I would describe it, and it does kind of expand on that into the second episode, because as the first episode plays out and certain interactions happen, there's little bits of like flashbacks where you can tell like it goes gray and it like is completely cutting away.
Yeah.
So it does kind of get into what solidifies their it takes a whole episode to flesh that out. I
Hmm.
would say where actually in the manga, the whole like second episode is kind of abridged into several panels in one chapter.
Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah. They and even with this again, even with this first episode, how it opens showcasing the all the farmers using their magic. In the manga, it just starts with a shot of the farms and it doesn't showcase any of that. And that's what I really like about this adaptation, is that they really have stretched out a lot of the panels, a lot of the groundwork that the manga lays in order to build this bigger world and universe that we get to experience.
Let's talk about the world a little bit because I'm confused. I don't want answers. I don't want answers. This is just rhetorical questions out into the ether. But like, where do they get their I'm pretty sure they're going to explain it. But where do they get their magic from? Is it something inside them? Can they make that stronger? Is it something that they're born with? Is it something that they can build on later? Like, all these questions are in my head because of what you were saying. They built up this magic world. Okay, everybody has magic. Okay, cool. Well, this one kid doesn't have magic. And
Mhm.
it's like, oh, huh? Is it, what is it? What is it within him? Why did he get this grimoire that has a 5-leaf clover on it? Where his brother, rival,
Mhm.
got a 4-leaf clover. Everybody loves Everybody kind of hates Asta. He loves Sister Okay, the one thing I don't like, him consistently wanting to marry Sister Lily. I mean, I get it, it's comedy effect, but I'm like, come on, man. Come on,
Yeah,
child.
makes
What are you
him
doing?
it definitely is one of those things that like in anime in general we can see some characters acting a little sussy baka sometimes, and
Yeah.
it's one of those things that can kind of pull you away from a character, make them a little less likable. But
It doesn't
he
get super into it.
yeah, it doesn't ever outstay its welcome, I feel like, and it's
Uh-huh.
always kind of and it's always somewhat for the bit, and it's more like I feel like they play it off as like a childish crush thing, and
Yeah.
not like him being a creep or anything like that.
So we're discussing Black Clover, and the first episode pretty much. And I think we can go through quite a bit of the like episode 2 and 3 because it was kind of just building on it. But
Exactly.
what happened was the Grimoire acceptance ceremony. It'll enhance your powers, and then they mentioned very quickly in the first episode, in 6 months you're gonna take the Magic Knights entrance exam. And then Rev Chi was the guy with the chains, who jumps for his grimoire, and then Asa comes to save, not successful. And then was like, he's not useless, he's my rival. And then Asta's like, I am. And I
He
was like,
was
yes,
waiting to hear those words
I
his
love it. I
whole
love
life.
that. I don't have much for episode 2 because there was a lot of flashback.
Yes.
Um, so there was a lot of flashback to when they were kids. Um, the only really big note that I had was I love the art. I don't know why the skies and all the colors and trees and grass look just gorgeous in this episode. I just noticed it a lot.
Hmm.
I don't know why, but just in like a couple sentences, what happens in this flashback
Yeah.
that
So
we found
in
in episode 2?
an episode in the first episode, again, we kind of get to see a little bit showcase his personality, like his mannerisms and such, his feelings towards Asta. He's kind of just putting it all out there. The second episode, we get to see them. I think it's about a decade before, when they're still little small kids, and basically, Yuno's given a task over Asta to deliver like a letter to the mayor of the town or whatever from their church. When he was dropped off, and Asta, when they were dropped off in front of the church, he was left with this like gold chain with a little medallion on it. And while he's dropping off this letter in town, some creep getting kicked out of a bar catches on to the fact that, oh, some kid's wearing a cool piece of expensive jewelry. I'm going to go take it from him. And he attempts to do that to Yuno. He approaches him and tries to take his and he does take his pendant, but Yuno tries to fight back, and the guy likes, oh, what are you going to do? You're going to try to fight an adult? What, you're going to get yourself killed? And Yuno just kind of like backs off completely. Asta, noticing that Yuno's been gone a little too long, he went running after Lin looking for Yuno, comes to the defense of Yuno against this adult and just starts like trying to wail on him, whatever, throw his body against this guy, give Yuno his pendant back. What are you doing? And every time this guy throws Asta off, Asta, I'm not done, runs back to fight this guy.
Oh man. Okay. This was really cool to see, because
Yes.
I was not on Asta's side. I was literally about to turn off the entire anime and cancel the show because I didn't like Asta's voice in the first episode, and I was still kind of on and off about Asta. But episode 2, Asta doing that, literally, Asta had no context for what was happening. That's one thing I noticed. Asta had no context. All he saw was this older dude taking Yuno's pendant, and he just ran up and started fighting, like, come on, man, come on, give it back to him. And then the older guy would push him off, and he kept going and going, kind of like Gone in Hunter x Hunter, because I'm watching that right now. But it's like that resolve, that like I don't care, like that main character energy for sure, where he's like, this really showed me how much Asta cares about others. And this is like something that's probably going to be coming back, and it does come back in other episodes that we saw today. But it just shows that it's like he cares, and like he even talks about it before, about how he wants to be the Wizard King all the time. He's like, I'm gonna be the Wizard King. I'm gonna be the Wizard King. I don't have any magic, but I'm still gonna be the Wizard King, and I'm gonna marry you, Sister Lily. And it's like, wait, what? And then he's like, because I want you to have the best food, and I want you to have a good place to live, and I want all my friends to have a great place to live, and I want to. And I'm like, oh, he cares so much. Oh,
Yes,
he cares so much. So like by this episode, I was totally turning around on Asta here. And we got before I get your thoughts on that, Matt, we got some bits. Thank you, Shelves. Thank you, Bubsy, for the bit. Oh, it doesn't show up here. Thank you for the 100 bits, Shelves. Thank you for the 100 bits, Bubsy. Thank you so much for supporting the show. But yeah, it shows how much he cares. And I was like, okay, here it is.
And it really, this happening has an effect on Yuno in this sequence of events, because after that happens, and the guy eventually just goes, you know what, why am I picking on some kids? And he walks away, and he, that's that. But to them, this was a very big thing that happened, because it's some adult trying to with some kids. Asta, after he walks away, Asta collapses from exhaustion. And Yuno's kind of inquisitive as to why he did that, why he kept fighting and stuff. And Asta, like you said, he basically just says, well, I care about others. I'm going to become the Wizard King, and I'm going to prove to everybody that whether you're an orphan, whether you're down and out, whatever it might be, anybody can become the Wizard King. Anybody can become the Wizard King. And from that point, had only kind of listened in on stories about the Wizard King, and he would always be like kind of taken back with excitement. But being an orphan himself, he probably didn't think himself being capable. Upon hearing Asta say these words, they both fist bump in a pact that each one of them will become the Wizard King. And that is where the rivalry is born.
I didn't put the picture in here, but I did have a picture of them, the fist bump, and I'm like, yes, like I feel it now. Like after that, I was like so about it. I'm like, hell yeah. I don't know how it's gonna happen, but I want both these people to be the Wizard King. I'm
You
totally
want
cool.
both of them to win.
Yuno
they
is
both
like
want the same thing.
Exactly. Yuno is super cool. He's a cool, has the magic, and then Asta now, like he has. If they can be one person, I'm cool with them combining somehow. Chogli, thank you for the 300 bits. I appreciate it. We appreciate it. Thank you so much for supporting the podcast, the very first episode. Again, if you want to get anime suggestion, you want to put that in there somehow. You can do 500 bits and then give us a suggestion of an anime to pull. Because we're going to be watching Black Clover up until episode 19. We're talking about the very first 4 episodes, but oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, CZ with the 500 bits. Thank you, CZD. Thank you so much for the 500 bits.
That is a request.
That'll get a request in the bucket. So let us know here in chat or somewhere on the Discord. But thank you so much, CZ. Thank you for supporting us, supporting me and Matt on this journey. But let's go into episode 3. What I have down is we learn a lot more about the Wizard King, and we learn a lot more about Grimoire, and they're kind of on the way to their Magic Knights entrance exam. First question right off the bat, why didn't Yuno just fly on a broom? That's just me. I was like, aren't they magic? Can't you just fly on the broom?
I guess you could say that being an orphan from the church, he probably just doesn't have one? Question mark. Maybe
I saw him standing on one time.
Maybe brooms in this universe are maybe brooms in this universe are a bit expense. Maybe
or like a car.
Yeah, exactly. But also because he didn't want to have to carry Asta on the side of his broom.
They were running against each other. They could have. They
were running against each other.
They were like, "I'm gonna beat you. I'm gonna beat you," and I'm like, "Bro, get on a broom. You can beat him."
It took a little bit of suspension of disbelief for that like little travel montage from their village of Hage village to the capital. And I will say again, in the manga, that whole little travel montage that the 3rd episode has, that is non-existent. Again, they in the first chapter, we are still in the first chapter in the 3rd episode in the manga. So it's just one of those things I think that they took to really show that moving forward, when you hear people say, well, those kids are from the boonies, it makes more sense because they didn't just show up to the capital. Like they were just sitting on its doorstep.
They mentioned that a lot in episode 4, where they're like, oh, they're just no-name kids from a no-name town. Like we keep mentioning, it does help me get into the world. It's really slow, and it's helping me get the grasp of the world, because we know magic a little bit. I still don't know like what the extents of magic are by episode 3, and it tells me that they're not part of the good part of the city and all that stuff. But we do learn a little bit more about like all the other stuff about the Magic Knights. The Magic Knights are 9 squads of night mages under the Wizard King, and the lead mage knows about Asta's grimoire, the 5-leaf clover. This is the first time that we kind of have a question about the guy's like, oh, could it be the 5-leaf clover? And I'm like, the what now?
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that.
That was the mage in the tower, right? He kind of
guy
thinks about it because as the father and sister Lily are talking about the fact that Yuno and Asta are going off to try to join the Magic Knights, most of them are just kind of checking off Asta, like, oh, well, he's going to be back. Like, don't need to worry about him. He's going to be back. He's going to fail the test. He's not going to become a Magic Knight.
The father, that was the funny part, where the father was like, well, when Asta comes back, he's going to do it. And they're like, you're going to say that to Yuno, right? When he comes back, when Yuno comes back too? Well, when you come back and when Yuno becomes part of the Magic Knights, that was pretty cool. And then they get there in episode 4. And we have a load of new characters in episode 4, and this is definitely something I want to dive deep into it. But they get there into the magic sort of kingdom, and we meet a lot of cool characters and a lot of the Magic Knights of the 9 squads. I like when they introduce a lot of characters, because I like
puts
looking at
questions
all
in
the
your
cool
head,
characters.
and you get to experience character designs, them compared against each other, and without like we've already had a little bit of established world dynamics here, so we see these characters and we get to like the character that's kind of announcing them, Mr. Bronza, Buha,
Yeah, I have all their
as a
names
lot of
here.
Mr. call him Mr. Buha. He is the one that's kind of like announcing all of them off, and he's giving a little bit of like flair, a little bit of a small tidbits as he's like giving their names, which is also really cool because he seems to be somebody that knows a bit more about the Magic Knights than Asta or Yuno. So they're listening to him intently for sure.
We see all the different like crests. Like there's a bunch of like little crests for all the 9 squads of the Night Mages. I'm like, yes. Like if you know me, and y'all are probably gonna get to know me as we watch anime together. I like tournament stuff. I like squads of people. Like I love right now recently again Hunter x Hunter, Phantom Troop, all these people with different abilities. I'm like, yes, let's go. And now we have a bunch of like different groups, a bunch of different squads, and we get a tiny glimpse of them. And I'm like so excited to get into like what each of them can do, like what their specialty is. But for me, the coolest one was Sukahiro Yami, the captain of the Black Bulls,
Who almost kills Asta.
who almost kills Asta in like the beginning of episode 4. He's like crushing his head. I love those characters that are brute strength. I love the big brute guys. They're like, whatever, and they just like barely say anything, and he's just like crushing his head.
Because Asta walks into him thinking he's another student about to take the exam.
Yeah.
Come to find out, he was lost on his way to the bathroom.
He's like, what did he actually say shit?
He was like, I lost it myself on the way to the shitter. Something
yeah. In the English version, he's like, I got lost on the way to the shitter. I was like, okay, well.
Something we're gonna see a lot of, actually.
Spoilers. The leader of the Black Bulls is Daddy. Well, they don't call him Black Bulls for nothing.
Yami is a little bit of, no pun intended, he's a bit of a black sheep when you put him up against all the other squad captains.
Very true.
Just by his visual, like they all seem kind of more like, well, we're here to do our job. We're here nice and proud, and I represent my company. I represent my squad. And then Yami's like, well, I'm trying to get the fuck out of this place. He's got zero interest in being there.
Is getting lost a normal thing for strong characters? Yeah, because they have no brain.
And then but yeah, you like quickly listed off, you have all of these different squads, like you were saying, all the way from the top down. You have they're announced off as the Silver Eagles, the Crimson Lions, the Green Praying Mantises, the Blue Rose Knights, the Purple Orcas, the Coral Peacocks, the Aqua Deer, the Black Bulls, and the Golden Dawn. And there is a lot of like there begins to be chitter chatter about everybody like, oh, I can't wait to get into the Golden Dawn. I can't wait to be in the Black Bulls. Not the Black Bulls here. I can't wait to be in the Golden Dawn. I can't wait to be in the Silver Eagles. And then there's other people like, oh, only royals and nobility gets into those squads.
I love that because they're giving us little information about each one, but not like diving into each one specifically. They're just like, oh, what about this? And they're like, oh, what? The one that got me was Jack the Ripper.
Yes.
Jack the Ripper is the leader of the Green Praying Mantises, and I was like, what the fuck, Jack the Ripper? And then they were like, oh, who wants to be in one that's named after an animal? And I was like, being a part of the Purple Orcas would be kind of cool. I don't know.
Somebody else like, yeah, Green Praying Mantises are all right, but I don't want to be a bug.
Yeah,
like, it's such schoolhouse at that point when they're just like making a big deal about the name.
These Magic Knights, the squads are gonna be defending and killing people, but they're like, I don't want to have a little praying mantis on my armor. It's like, what?
And as that's going on, then you definitely begin to, I think it was mentioned before that like nobody kind of really wants to be in or a part of the Black Bulls because they're known as kind of this squad where nobody really looks out for each other. Everybody's kind of a miscreant, a hooligan, whatever you might call them.
Yeah.
The Black Bulls seems to be not a very desirable squad to get into, according to the consensus.
I think somebody said that they were the ones that get the job done, but not the most honorable way or something. They worded it some way where they're like, they get it done, but like kind of shady. They're the shadiest of the group. Tell me what happens with Seke Bronzaza. Seke Bronzaza?
Yeah,
what happens?
Mr. Seke Bronzaza, he identifies immediately as everybody's checking in. He identifies that Mr. Asta has a very dirty, old-looking grimoire, and he kind of marks him, so to speak.
Sure.
This guy starts following Asta around, and throughout all of the preceding tests, because during this exam, led by William Vengeance of the Golden Dawn, he starts to have everybody go about tests. Fly on a broom. How's your creation magic? How's your transmutation magic? Etc. 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 And all of the squad leaders are watching everybody. Mr. Seke Bronzaza notices Asta unable to complete almost any of the tests because they're all based on magic. And Asta, again, has no magic to speak of. He still has his black grimoire, but all that he's been able to do with it so far is pull a sword out.
And nobody's seen that yet.
Nobody's seen that
but
yet.
Everybody's like, yo, this little kid sucks. He can't even fly on a broom. Apparently flying on a broom is the easy part.
That's the apparently if you have even an ounce of magic within your body, you should be able to float off the ground, whether or not you can control that floating. Seke Bronzaza, upon hearing the announcement of a combat phase where everybody's going to be able to choose a partner and you have to fight one-on-one, he chooses Asta. And as immediately after choosing Asta, and Asta's like, oh, somebody like you would want to fight me. Thank you. I'm so glad somebody wants to fight me. He approaches Asta and he's like, it's all right. I'm going to send you back to the boonies.
Bro.
You can get the fuck out of here now.
And when then, he did that, he was acting so chill, like his friend. Yeah, when Seke was like, oh yeah, like they were friends the whole time, and then basically like as they were about to fight, he leaned in, he was like, I'm gonna fucking kill you, pretty much. It's like, yo, so dope.
Mr. Seke Bronzaza then takes to his place for the duel, and he casts a spell that puts up a barrier around him that he starts to, he starts to give all of these reasons why it's an impenetrable defense, and it also has cannons on it. So I'm going to be able to defend against him and then use my offense to completely floor him. And it's going to be crazy. It's going to be wild. All of the captains are going to see this. I'm going to embarrass this kid. And he casts his spell and he looks over at Asta and he says, all right, come on, attack me. And then in his head, he's like, and be sure to really exhaust yourself. Asta says, all right, here I come. He draws his sword. All the muscles in his legs start to tense up, and he dashes right at Seke, and with an overhead swing, his sword busts through the cannonball shell and puts Seke into the ground. And there is a silence that falls over the entire audience.
The best part about it was that all the magic knights were super impressed with Seke's magic. They're like, oh, that's like some high level magic. He has a thing around him with like guns that you could shoot out of. And then instantly just Asta pulls out his grimoire, pulls out the sword. It's like a dirty, like, I don't know if we talked about it, but it's like a dirty ass grimoire.
Very dirty
sword.
The sword, I would call it. It looks like a broadsword, like a two-handed broadsword. That's
really
just
cool
jet
sword,
black, and it looks rusted and dirty. It looks like it's seen centuries of use
for sure. So yeah, he does that, and that just like super impressed everybody for sure, because he does. While Asta doesn't have magic, what did he say? His magic, I think,
his
in like
magic
the first
is
episode,
never giving up.
in the first episode when he actually pulled out the grimoire first, he was like, "My magic is I'm never gonna give up." I'm having a good time with this anime. This is really cool. Did we miss anything with that last episode? I mean, I think that was pretty much it. We just got a lot of information about the Magic Knights, about the Wizard King a little bit. We haven't seen the Wizard King.
One thing we did kind of miss is behind the scenes. Captain of the Silver Eagles, he's Mr. Nozzle Silva.
True.
He is seen off in like the side bleachers or whatever. He approaches a young lady, and she's gripping her broom, and it seems like she's finally getting the resolve to like go out there and take the test with everybody else. And she's stopped by the captain of the Silver Eagles, and he tells her there's no need for royals to take the same test, the same exam as commoners.
Sure.
Your destination has already been decided.
Mhm.
And she says, "Yes, brother Silva." And then he replies, I forgot exactly what he replies, but it's something to the effect of you should have never been born anyways.
Yeah, something like super harsh about that. He's like, your birth was something like that, something crazy.
Your mere existence is a disgrace.
Yeah, and I was like, holy shit. And I didn't even know what that is. So I was like, I don't know any about this yet. So I don't even want to mention it because like I was like, this is just one scene that was there. When you get to the mumbling characters, subtitles are key. It took me ages to realize he was actually saying something.
That's one of the Black Bulls that was accompanying Yami.
Yeah,
there were two with him.
Finral and
yes.
Gordon.
And Gordon.
Agrippa.
And Gordon definitely mumbles a lot.
I like that character.
I don't know if you caught it, but after he walks away from Asta, saying like, after Yami walks away from Asta, saying, "Well, you get to live today. I'm not going to kill you today." Sure. Gordon, under his breath, he goes, "I wish the captain would kill me too."
So we've sort of discussed the first 4 episodes, and every week on the show, we're going to discuss a couple of episodes of a anime, and then we're going to give our thoughts sort of at the end about our favorite moment, least favorite moment, favorite character so far, and our least favorite character so far. So if you're here live, again, you can watch this live on Twitch, twitch.tv/JulesTheHuman every Thursday. And if you're watching this later on, thank you so much. We appreciate it. But Matt, what was your favorite moment? And if anybody else wants to chime in on your favorite moments of the first episode or first 4 episodes, if you're watching along with us, what was your favorite moment from these first 4 episodes that we watched?
I gotta say, there was a moment in episode 3 where it's before they take off to start the exam. Asta is training in the woods with his sword. He counts to rep 1,000 as he swings his sword on a tree.
Sure.
He pauses for a break using his Mogoro leaf juice or whatever weird like energy drink he concocts to drink.
Yeah.
And he's approached by one of the other orphans, by Nash.
Nash.
And Nash kind of like says like, "Why are you doing what you're doing? Like you don't have magic. You're an orphan. Like why are you doing this?" And Asta kind of tells him, well, it's because I'm gonna be the Wizard King. And Nash like cuts in like immediately, and he's like, "Orphans don't get to do things like that." And Asta kind of like looks at him with a weird look on his face, and immediately like doubles down, and he says, "No, like I'm gonna do what I want to do. Whether you're an orphan, no matter who you are, you can do whatever you set yourself out to do." And he turns around with his sword, and he just like busts open this huge boulder that's sitting there, and then just like takes a moment to stand in the light. And Nash looks on, and you can see a look in his eyes that like changes.
That changes him for the rest of it, right? Nash is like,
before they leave, Nash like says to Asta, "If you are able to get into the Magic Knights, I'll believe that I can get into the Magic Knights one day."
Yes.
And he kind of immediately is like, "Well, you're not going to get in anyway." And he's so like he's still kind of being a little smug little kid about it, but you can tell like he, in a way, like he's looking up to Asta now. And
for sure,
there's even in the flashback sequence, Yuno's trying to make Nash not cry anymore, and Asta's like, "Oh, I got it," and he's totally able to make the Nash stop crying as a little kid. And
That's a great moment.
There's a lot of neat little things that they sprinkle in there, but I really like that moment with Nash for sure.
Totally almost forgot about that until you reminded me. My favorite moment was in episode 2, pretty much that whole flashback episode, that whole flashback stuff when Asta tried to take on the man in the street for he wouldn't stop and didn't care why it was the main thing was that I noticed was Asta just didn't care why it was happening. He didn't ask questions. He just knew that this guy was bad. He needed to do something to help and he just went for it for his rival, his buddy, his friend, his brother, that he'd known for his whole life. And it's like, man, that showed so much to me about his character, more than you could say, just because even at a young kid, he was gonna face a formidable large human,
yeah,
as a child.
Could have very much just taken whatever he wanted from them, walked away without putting anything behind him, but Asta just decided not to give up.
So that was definitely my favorite moment, because it taught me a lot about Asta right there. What's your least favorite moment from these 4 episodes? If you got
least favorite moment,
if you don't got one, that's cool too.
I guess my least favorite moment would be like the travel sequence, even though, like I said, it helps like kind of flesh out the world a bit more. I don't know. They could have put a bit more flavor into it, I guess, and it kind of just ends up being a means to an end, and that is to showcase that, hey, they're traveling. Travel in a sentence. When travel as a episode, I guess.
When could have taken a broomstick. That was all I could think about.
They could have flied the eagle to
yeah, as Mandrop said earlier, you could have just flown the eagle to Mordor.
Yes.
I tried. I didn't have anything really. My least favorite moment was anytime Asta pestered sister to marry him. I was just like, come on, man. Like, I get it, he's a kid, but who's your favorite character so far out of these first 4 episodes? Who's your favorite character?
Like you said earlier, I really wish we could just, take Asta, take Yuno, and make them the same character, because I want them both to have the same things. But I gotta say that, like, if without episode 2, Asta, but given episode 2, I absolutely love Yuno, because of the fact that he went from somebody that just had a very hard time standing up for himself, being able to be outspoken. It said that he used to cry so much, even. But since that day with Asta, with the guy, did not cry. He did not show like weakness. He gained resolve completely from Asta in that day, and I absolutely love that.
Very cool. My favorite character so far, I think Tsukihiro Yami of the Black Bulls, just because I like big, tough, beefy dudes. And I can't wait till
he gets a lot of characterization in the small amount of time we see him.
For sure. And I just can't wait to see somebody beat him. I like characters like that because it's such a clear-cut way of saying this person is stronger now. Like your main is better than this and so and so. It's such an easy way to showcase your main character's strength or power by defeating the biggest guy in the room. And I love that kind of stuff. So Tsukihiro Yami of the Black Bulls, I like those kinds of characters because I want to see them get knocked down.
Sorry to interrupt, but just on the powerful characters during the exam, when they needed to test everybody's flight on brooms, William Vengeance cast a spell that descended a tree from the sky that granted each and every one of the people taking the exam a broom.
Insane.
And that is another, like you said, that's just an insane way. Yami's super big and we get to see all that, but then we see him cast this spell, and it's the first spell of that magnitude we've seen.
And really Asta were like, he's the guy that's next in line to be Wizard King.
So we gotta be better. What the Wizard King is.
Yeah, yes. we gotta do better than that at somehow, because they're not there yet, but somehow they got to be better than that.
A bar gets set for sure.
For sure, yeah, definitely. Who's your least favorite character so far?
Least favorite character gotta be Seke. The tomfoolery, the deception, the fact that like he wanted to make himself look good by pummeling somebody that he felt as though was so weak that wouldn't even be able to stand up against him. It's cowardly, and it's unhonorable.
You got to give him that. I love that
Dishonorable.
moment, though. You got to give him a little credit, like a little, oh, I love to hate him because he pulled
Love
Asta
to
close.
hate him, but the
Pulled
hate
him
is
close.
strong.
He's like, I'm going to fucking wreck you. And I'm like, oh, shit, dude. I didn't know you were a part of that.
It's despicable. And the fact that, like, you hear other people peeping out in the crowd too, like, why is Seke trying to fight the guy that hasn't even been able to do anything during this entire exam? Like, everybody else sees the bullshit. Everybody else sees it. But yeah, like you said, you hate to love him.
Yeah. CZ, who earlier donated 500 bits to suggest an anime to put into our little box to pick out, has ultimately said Gotchman Crowds would love both of your opinions on it at some point. So we're gonna check it out. We're gonna make sure that it's not sussy baka at all, and if it's good, we'll say yes, and we'll throw it into the box so that whenever we finish this one, it could possibly be pulled out for the next one we go through. But my least favorite character, Asta. He's cool, but definitely he has some growing on me to do. I really hope. I'm starting to like him. He's cool. He's not annoying or anything. Gotcha, man. Gotcha. We'll check it out a little bit. But this was the Jules and Matt anime hour. We talked about the first 4 episodes of Black Clover. This time next week, whenever you're listening to this time next week, we are going to be going over episode 5 through 8. So we had a lot of people here in the live chat talking about the show, the episodes, and we were talking, having conversation, and you pulled them up here. If you're watching on the video show, we pulled up their comments and stuff like that. If you would like to do that as well, Thursdays, on twitch.tv/JulesTheHuman, you can watch live with us, but watch episode 5 through 8 of Black Clover with us throughout the week. We're giving you a week to watch 4 episodes of anime, and you can be on the conversation. You can talk to us. You can be in the conversation. Something that I didn't tell Matt before we end here, I have something really cool that I got made to use, because this is our first episode ever of the Jules and Matt anime hour. For about 2 weeks I had to hold this in, but I had this thing made by an artist. I had some really cool stuff that I can put on YouTube, thumbnails, and we can use some stuff that are really cool. And I don't know if you remember, I asked you a couple questions that were kind of out of nowhere.
You've asked me a lot of questions over the past couple weeks, though.
Yeah, that's true.
We've been talking a lot.
I got some art made of us. That's really cute. We are little chibi characters, and let's take a look right
Chibi
now.
Matt and Chibi Jules. Oh my god.
If you're listening to the only audio,
you're not gonna see it.
But yeah, so there's me with the red hair.
See this. Oh my god.
We're taking a little selfie. I have little boba tea. You have Spy Family in your hands.
Yes.
And that's little Matt and Jules there as little chibi characters. I also have another one.
Oh.
Because I was like, you know what? Because this person had a wait list for a long time. I'll probably shout them out. I'm gonna post it on Twitter, and I'll give these to Matt when they're finalized, so that he can use them for whatever he wants as well. But I had this one made as well, and let us know what your guesses are. What do you think this is, and which characters do you think these are?
Yes,
we're battling it out.
The duel
got the water, right, got the fire.
Oh my goodness,
so cute.
Perfect.
So just to celebrate the start of the podcast, we have little chibi characters. I'm probably going to put them on thumbnails. I really like them both. They came out really good.
I love it.
So I'll add the artist. You'll find the artist and all that stuff. Oh, that's Avatar? No. No shot. I know you're trolling now. So those are little chibi characters. But that was us. We discussed episode 1 through 4 of Black Clover. By next week, your homework. 5 through 8. We're going to discuss it right here, wherever you're watching this, whether it's on YouTube, on a podcast app, or here live on Twitch. Thank you so much. Me and Matt appreciate it. Thank you for all the bits and thank you for all the support on episode 1.
Thank you so much for joining us for the first episode of the Jules and Matt Anime Hour.
So cool. And we'll see you
next time.
Next week.
Next Thursday.
Bye.